Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally doing a monthly wrap-up. So July might actually be the most successful reading month I've had this year, but I'm not totally sure. I've read about 70 books this year, and I will soon be uploading a mid-year wrap-up a month late, where I'm gonna run through the books I read through January through June, just to kind of remind myself. But yes, so I read 14 books, I want to say, and I'm still in the middle of one that I'm just going to include in this wrap-up because I'm hopefully gonna finish today. We'll see about that though, because that's not exactly my strong suit, is finishing books on deadline, so we'll see what happens. But I just thought I'd go through, tell you the books I read in July, what I thought about them, and my rating. First up, I read Red, White, and Royal Blue. I actually read this through the 4th of July weekend, which I thought was quite fitting. I really liked this. I was very uncertain about whether or not I would enjoy this. I wasn't sure if it was overhyped. I wasn't sure if this was gonna be like up my alley, but I gave this 4 stars. I listened to it mostly on audio. I don't even think I picked up the physical copy of this at all, but absolutely loved this. I never thought I was an enemies to lovers kind of girl, but I think I might just have to add that to the things I like in books. The fact that Alex hates Henry because he actually harbors feelings for him is just something that I really enjoyed. I really liked the political aspects of this book. I really liked the side characters. I really didn't have much of a complaint. I was on board for this the whole time. It wasn't a perfect book for me, but romance really, I'm not sure there is a perfect romance for me. I don't know if I will ever give a romance 5 stars, but this was a solid 4-star for me. I really enjoyed it. I definitely am going to look out for more from Casey McQuiston because I just love their writing so much. Next up, we have Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I have owned this since I started my channel 5 years ago and just never picked it up. This was super hyped back then. It's really not talked about anymore. I gave this 3 stars. It was a solid YA dystopian. I really didn't have too many complaints. It read really quickly. I really liked the pacing. It's been a hot minute since I read a YA dystopian, and I enjoyed this. It definitely is a solid YA dystopian. I read some complaints in the reviews about it not being quite as developed as they would hope, and I kind of see that. I think the weird sickness that has taken over, it could have been developed into a really interesting storyline, but instead it kind of turns weirdly love mixed into politics, but also not even taking that storyline far enough for my taste. But definitely a solid YA. I don't have too many complaints because I didn't really have the highest of expectations, so 3 stars. I enjoyed it. We have another romance. This is another one I read on audio exclusively. Yeah, I did just read this on audio. I gave this 2 stars. This is The Right Swipe by Alicia Ray. There were just some things that I couldn't get on board with. There was a lot of miscommunication. That was the main plot driving force, was misunderstanding and miscommunication and just not talking to each other and just shutting down once you think something is happening. And I do understand that that's a human response. You don't want to get hurt or look stupid, so you shut down. But I feel like if a person is showing you that they are a good person, if that person has shown you over and over and over again that they are a good person, and that this one instance where you thought they weren't a good person was actually a miscommunication and a misunderstanding, and then something happens and you decide that no, you were right, that they are a bad person, it just doesn't really make sense for me. I feel like that's, I have trust issues, so girl, I get it, but it just is really frustrating to read in book form because it was just all miscommunication and misunderstanding. Rhiannon is our main character. She runs a dating app. She's trying to buy one of the oldest dating apps, and to do that, she's teaming up with the company through their new spokesperson named Samson, who she had a fling with in the past. That didn't end well, and then it takes off from there. I liked some subplots of this. I don't like surface romance in books. I don't like it when the whole plot is like finding a husband. And even when it's like finding a husband and getting successful, I'm kind of just like, yeah, whatever. If you can dig a little bit deeper with those subplots, I'm more on board. This did that. Could have gone a little bit further for my taste, but I did like that aspect of it. But in the end, it just infuriated me more than I enjoyed it. So I did give it 2 stars. I really do feel like this is just personal preference, that the miscommunication aspect just really frustrated me to the point of just like, I also am not totally sure if I should listen to romances on audio. For some reason, Red, White, and Royal Blue, their like steamy scenes didn't bother me on audio. This one, it was, I don't know, listening to it made me weirdly uncomfortable, where reading it I was fine. And that kind of happened with Get a Life, Chloe Brown too, whereas if I was reading the steamy scenes, I was okay, but listening to it, I was just uncomfortable, and I don't know what weird personal issue that is for me, but that probably played into the 2-star, but I'm rambling. 2 stars. Next up, we have The Buddha in the Attic by Julie Otsuka. I read this for Becca's Bookathon. I enjoyed this. I gave this 3 stars. I thought it was a really solid book. The plot basically follows a group of picture brides that are sailing from Japan to America, and they are going to meet their husbands that they've only seen pictures of, and we follow their lives in America, which are not ideal. It's not what they were expecting. Their husbands are not who they were expecting. Their lives are not what they were expecting. A lot of them work in fields or work as maids. And then we also follow them into World War II and the placement of Japanese Americans into internment camps. I think it could have gone a little bit deeper into the internment camp part of it, because it felt like we had been following them the whole time, and it's told in a collective we, so it felt like that's who we were with the most of the book. But then when the internment camp happened, they talk about how the Japanese Americans disappeared, and then it almost takes on the collective perspective of the townspeople that knew these Japanese Americans. So that was interesting. I didn't love that. I didn't love the collective we. Very short, so that was great. I liked the story. I liked the detail. Those were just a couple little things that bothered me, so I gave this a 3-star. Another 2-star book, we have The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. This is just not my thing. I did vlog Becca's Bookathon, so you can see my initial response to some of these books. This just, no, not my thing. It's so wordy, and I find that with a lot of classics, I can't handle them because they're so wordy. And I know in like certain cases they were paid by the word, so that's why they were wordy, but this one just bothered the crap out of me. There were moments of spookiness where I was like, hell yeah, give me more of that, and then it would go away, and then it would go back to the governess like lamenting her situation. It's basically about this governess who comes to this house in the middle of nowhere, and some weird shit is happening in this house, and she believes her children, the children have seen the things, but she doesn't want to talk to them about it in order to protect them. I thought it was kind of stupid, that aspect of it. I'm like, why don't you just fucking ask the kids? But whatever, okay. 2 stars. This just kind of pissed me off. Didn't give me what I came for. Next up, we have Are You Listening by Tilly Walden. I gave this 3 stars. This is a really beautiful graphic novel following 2 women who are driving cross-country together, and their kind of blossoming friendship, and they talk about their lives and what they're kind of running away from and what they're dealing with. On top of that, we have like a magical cat and these creepy fuckers following them. That was really fun. I gave this 3 stars ultimately because while there were elements I really enjoyed, a lot of the time I was kind of like, can we get like more of an explanation, please? And I get it. Sometimes you shouldn't get an explanation in books and you should just accept things. This was just one of those times where I was like, I kind of want to know what the fuck is going on. Didn't feel like I got that, but I really did find the art style to be beautiful and I enjoyed the reading experience, but ultimately it was a 3-star. Another 2-star book, this is Antisocial by Gillian Blake. While I saw myself in the main character who has social anxiety, I at the same time was frustrated with a lot of the plot points in this book. There's just certain things that happened that I was just like, that didn't need to happen, and it was not great. Basically, our main character, Anna, is in high school and she has social anxiety. She, for the past few months, had been adopted by the popular crowd because she was dating a boy, but over Christmas break, the boy breaks up with her, and now she has to like rebuild her old friendships. While this is happening, someone hacks into the school's system and they find that the school's app has been recording everything on their phone for the past year and a half. So this hacker starts to release everything to the school, unearths all the deep secrets, posts all the text messages of people talking shit, and it just makes everybody go off the rails. You can hear more about how I felt about it, my little mini rant about this book, in my vlog. 2 stars. No. Next up we have The Mothers by Britt Bennett. Fucking loved this book. 4 stars, just because the ending left something to be desired. I've talked about this in a video. Anyway, this was so good. Oh my god, Britt Bennett writes just beautifully. Oh, it just like flows. I like would sit down and just read it and time would pass so quickly because I just love this fucking book and the way she writes. The plotline follows Nadia and Luke. They meet when Nadia is in high school and it kind of just follows them over the next few years and the turmoil and just like normal happenings of life, while also following different parts of her town, and the different aspects of motherhood is really obviously talked about in this book. It's very church-centric because Nadia's small town is very church-centric, and so is her father and everyone she's around, and it just really talks about grief and, you know, neglect and abortion. There's a lot of different stuff in this book. It was beautiful. I loved this book so much. 4 stars. I just wanted a little bit more out of the ending, but otherwise it was almost perfect. Normal People by Sally Rooney. I gave this 3 stars, mostly because, yet again, miscommunication and misunderstanding is a huge, huge part of this book. We follow Marianne and Connell. They know each other in high school. She's kind of a misfit. He's Mr. Popular. They start to hook up, but Connell doesn't like want to claim their relationship. They're very on and off for the next few years of their lives. They come in and out of each other's lives. They're best friends. They're hooking up, etc. But there's just a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of miscommunication. Connell saying something insensitive or not really meaning to be insensitive or not meaning to come off a certain way, and then Marianne not talking to him about it and just being like, well, that's what you wanted, and it's frustrating, to say the least. So this was 3 stars, especially because of the fucking ending. This reads really fast. I'll give it that. It was really easy to knock out, but some of this was just very, very frustrating. Speaking of frustrating books, we have The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Oh my god, the fact that this is a memoir blows my fucking mind. This poor child, like, it's crazy. It follows Jeanette Walls' childhood, moving from place to place as her parents run from bill collectors, and the kind of crazy antics her parents would put their family through, and how her father was an alcoholic and her mother was very selfish in a lot of ways, didn't want to work, and when she did work, didn't want to spend the money on food to feed her family. Lots of things. There's a lot of different things about acceptance of childhood trauma and acceptance of who your parents are as people and that they're not perfect creatures. It was beautiful. I gave this 4 stars. I really did enjoy this, and honestly, I've said this before, but if this was fiction, I would say it was unrealistic, but the fact that this happened is fucking insanity. Next up, we have Challenger Deep by Neil Shusterman. I listened to this on audiobook, and I really liked this, and this surprised me. I really didn't think I was going to like a storyline that shows real life and then kind of the hallucinations or disassociations of someone in a mental facility. I really didn't think I was going to be able to get on board the whole pirate ship thing. Get on board the pirate ship. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the extended metaphor in it. I really liked the depiction of Caden's time in the mental facility, in the mental health facility. It was really beautiful and really well done, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't give it a 5-star because it wasn't totally perfect for me, and I'm really happy I listened to it because I'm not totally sure if I had read it that it would have impacted me as much. So really, really recommend the audiobook. Next up we have Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me by Mindy Kaling. This was a 2-star book. I listened to this on audio. It was really short. She reads real quick, which I appreciated a lot. I am just not a Mindy Kaling fan. I'm not an Office fan. This was a 2-star for me. Some of the things she talks about like weirdly bothered me, and we don't have similar humor, so it didn't do much for me. So it was really quick, so that was good, but it was ultimately a 2-star book. Next up we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I gave this 3 stars. I was really thinking I was gonna give it 4-star, but then after more reflection, I realized Kristen Hanna's writing doesn't do anything for me. This is about World War II and 2 sisters living in France during World War II and the German occupation. One sister is at home in her small town dealing with the Nazis and a Nazi living in her house, and how she's going to protect her children and her friends and things like that. And she's making mistakes, not totally understanding what's going on sometimes. While the other sister is taking a big role in the resistance and doing a lot to fight back against the Germans. She's a better grasp of what's going on, but she's also super reckless, and she makes some decisions where you're like, both of you are kind of stupid, but I get it because hindsight's 20/20 and I know what's going on, but you obviously don't know what's going to happen. What upset me the most is that there are some beautifully heartbreaking moments in this book, but the way they're written did nothing for me. There were so many times where I was like, I should be crying. I should be very upset. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I don't know what it is about Kristen Hanna's writing that doesn't do anything for me, but I just was not on board. So a 3-star. Beautiful story, did not like the writing. The last book I have finished this month is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I gave this 4 stars. I loved this book. This is the kind of classic I can get behind. It's not too wordy, it gets its point across, it tells the fucking story. Really liked it. It is heartbreaking as hell that this is based off of what actually happened to Sylvia Plath, and reading about her story afterward is so upsetting. The way she tells her fictionalized story is so well done and so meaningful. I truly enjoyed this. This is another book that is somewhat based in a mental health facility and describes her time in that. I've read a lot of books this year, even outside this month, about people dealing with asylums back in the day or being set in a mental health facility. It's very interesting how that keeps popping up this year. But really loved this. It's quite realistic because this was inspired by real events, so that helps a lot, but it's heartbreaking and just a true page turner. Like, I thought this was going to take me a while to get through because classics usually do. I ran with this. Absolutely loved it. 4 stars. Good book. And the book I am currently trying to finish is The Unlikely Adventures of the Shergill Sisters by Balikaur Jasmar. I am like a third of the way through this, so we'll see. I've been listening to it mostly on audio. I really am liking it on audio. I can listen to it on 2 times speed without feeling like I'm losing the plot, so that's good. So that's why I'm hoping I can finish it today. We'll see. I have to go move, so I'm hoping I can put the audiobook in the background as I pack and knock it out. This is about 3 sisters whose mother has just died, and their mother's dying wish is that they go on a kind of pilgrimage in India and scatter their mother's ashes. Their mother's real motive for wanting them to do this is to become closer as sisters, and we are learning about the different issues each sister is dealing with, and how they're basically hiding that from their sisters and their own issues with each other and with their mother, and it's pretty good so far. I don't really have complaints. It's probably hovering at a 3-star right now. It's fine. It's good. I'm only about a third of the way through it, so we'll see what happens. So those are all the books I read in July. I did not read a 5-star book this month, which is a little bit just like, it's a little bit sad, but that's okay. There were so many that got this close to a 5-star, this close, but didn't quite make it. But there are definitely some books that are gonna stick with me a while, especially like The Mothers. I really enjoyed that, and there's so, I kind of want to reread it already just to like see if on a second reread the ending doesn't bother me as much and I can give it a 5-star, because I do really like that book. But yes, comment down below your favorite book you read this month. My favorite is definitely The Mothers. Thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal stuff, and I'll see you guys again super soon. Bye.